Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to TPL Live. Here is our Eagles versus Cowboys post-game show. Today, we're going to talk about the top takeaways. We're going to give player grades. We're going to talk about Jalen Hurts, what this game means moving forward, guys. Before we get started, if you're watching us live, please be sure to comment, talk to us, ask questions, all that fun stuff. Always be sure to like, subscribe here at the Paint Alliance YouTube channel. The Eagles go down 41-21 in, quite frankly, a pathetic and embarrassing performance, top to bottom, on offense, on defense, led by Nick Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon. Let's just roll on. Shane, follow my man Shane on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. Shane, what's some of your takeaways, bro?
Well, the Eagles ended the day with more penalties than first downs, so that tells you about everything you need to know about how this game went, to be honest. 13 penalties, 12 first downs.
It's the way the Eagles played this game, the way they got absolutely murdered in the trenches, all the bonehead plays. This is not Eagles football, man. I can't. This is like going back to 2020. Watching Schultz just dominate this Eagles defense, like this brought back the nightmares that I had of living through the 2020 season. Let's go to Rob, my man, Philly_madness on Twitter. Rob, takeaways.
I mean, this was as demoralizing as it could be in a season where there were low expectations to begin with, right? You had two rushes through the first three quarters of this game. Two. Miles Sanders carried the ball 2 times, and you could tell me they got behind. It was 20-7 at the half. It wasn't like it was 30-7. We've screamed for years about linebacker help. When is it going to come? Alex Singleton, nice story. He can't play. TJ Edwards can't play. I mean, when are you going to actually do what you need to do? I feel like I froze.
You're back. You're good. You're back.
My screen is frozen, so I just have this really weird look right now.
You were frozen.
It's so demoralizing, and on top of it all, Jalen Hurts. I don't know. My doubts are starting to creep back up on him. I know it's early in the season, but this has not been a pretty 2 games for him. And 3 times in this game, he stalled drives with his arm or his staring down of a receiver. It's just not good.
Ty, lead us off, man.
Oh, Christ. One, everybody got really upset with me when I gave Eagles a B on week 1. I think we all know what the Atlanta Falcons are now, and we certainly are starting to see what the Eagles are now. I was really disappointed in play calling last week. I don't know that I can even blame play calling this week. Execution was a really big issue. And I'm with Rob on the linebackers. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys did whatever they wanted to do when they wanted to do it on offense today. And a lot of that, I mean, Hargrave had a couple of moments, but for the most part, I mean, they moved the ball when they wanted to move the ball. And it was rough. It was really rough.
Yeah, this is just ominous. This is an ominous type of loss, not only for what it means for Nick Sirianni, all the positives that we saw. Nick Sirianni, quick passes, getting the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands, getting Devontae Smith involved, attacking that intermediate area of the field in week 1. It has just decreased again and again here in weeks 2 and 3. You look at Gannon making adjustments in week 1. It has just fallen flat and against the Dallas Cowboys at worst of all. So we have a lot of comments here. Keep commenting, guys. Wolf of Odin, that is an awesome name, by the way. Can the Flyers hockey return, please? Coyle with the comment of the night so far. Rob is treating like Alex Singleton in coverage. It's fantastic. Modog says Hurts was bad, but the penalties and the injuries on the offensive line certainly are legit factors. The running game has died in Philly. It's unbelievable. I know Dallas has done pretty well defensively against the run this year. 0 rushing touchdowns allowed. Only 71 yards or so against them, but they're still 4.6 yards a carry. It's inexcusable to abandon the run. Shades of Doug Peterson.
Robert put it best. There were 2 runs in the first half.
It's
2.
pathetic. Yeah,
I just want to clarify that I wasn't laughing at Ty's analysis. I was laughing at the Rob freezing like Singleton in coverage comment.
No,
that got me good.
No worries there, man. And in fact, I wanted to ask, so we're 3 weeks in. I really respect your take. You do your homework. Where are you with Jalen Hurts right now? I really thought after week 1, I thought the Atlanta Falcons are a really bad team. They have proved me right. Everybody was really excited about the Eagles week 1. I tried to stay as measured as I could. Where do you sit with Jalen Hurts after 3 weeks, man? I respect your take. I really want to hear it.
I thought the Eagles should have drafted a quarterback in the draft. I was pretty outspoken about that at the time.
Yep. I remember.
And I get wanting to roll with him for a year. You've got a lot of draft capital in the next draft, so you could kind of stack that up there and you could buy a year and see, because we didn't get an honest evaluation last year, in the 4 games. But through 3 games, he hasn't done anything to change my opinion, really. Against the Falcons, he was efficient, but it was all thrown behind the line of scrimmage. I still haven't seen the ability for him to layer throws over the middle of the field or into intermediate areas. And I see a guy that's way too hesitant to bail from the pocket when his first read's not there. And that hasn't really changed. So, I love the guy. He is an easy guy to root for, but I've got to see some major steps in those 2 areas, making progressions and standing in the pocket.
I love your take, man. I agree with it 100%. I made the comment tonight. I was at a party tonight, an Eagles party, to say the least. And on the first drive, I made a comment. I was like, he just doesn't seem to put the ball in competitive positions when it's outside of 4 or 5 yards, either behind the line or outside of that. And then he proved me right when he didn't overthrow a receiver that he needed to overthrow instead of underthrow. There was over the top coverage, but I think he needed to give a better effort on that ball. But
right. And I was that even the first drive out of half, we come out, it's a 13-point game and we just come out throwing, but we get the chunk play on first down. Second down, he's got some pressure in his face, but he overthrows. And I caught some flack on Twitter for posting that out. They said Goddard should have caught it. It hit his hands. It hit his fingertips. It's a bad throw. It's not accurate. And then on the next play, Devonta Smith falls down, but he falls down and the ball is still behind him. That's how bad that throw was. I'm not saying it's a pick 6 if Smith doesn't throw down or fall down, but Smith falling down is not why that's a bad throw. That was a bad throw. And so it's the accuracy things. And that's been his issue. That was his issue in college. I'm a diehard OU fan and I watched him do it at OU too. He's got a lot of athletic ability on the ground, but through the air, he's always been a little scattershot, and he's gotten better from Alabama to OU, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to take that step he needs to.
And Shane, to piggyback off of that, he stares down. I mean, if you watched his eyes on that pick 6, he never looked anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, okay, we didn't get a full evaluation last year. It's only been 3 games this year, but now it's 7 games. That's a half an NFL season. And the same issues that plagued him in college, the same issues people talked about and why he wasn't a first-round pick, right? He has all the intangibles to be a first-round pick, so there had to be something. It was the accuracy issues. They haven't improved, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. So, I know it's early in this season, but look, 2 teams that had decent defenses, and there were so many throws today that were behind receivers. The pick 6 should never be, because as they said, Peyton Manning, if you watch the Manning's broadcast, that ball, the only place that ball's supposed to miss is high and away. You're never supposed to miss on that out route back behind your receiver. So it shouldn't have mattered that he fell. But this is just who I think it's a shame, because he is, like you said, Shane, so easy to root for. You want this guy to succeed. But I haven't seen anything in 7 starts that tell me the deficiencies everyone talked about that made him a second-round pick and should have been even further back, as many have discussed, are fixed. I just don't see it.
Rob, I gotta agree with you. I love that you brought up the Peyton and Eli podcast, because watching them evaluate quarterbacks is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And watching them evaluate Jalen Hurts tonight shows you how far away from an absolute winner this team actually is. I mean, when you look around the NFL and look at the quarterbacks who are doing the things that winning franchises do, our quarterbacks haven't done that in 3 or 4 years, going back to 2017. And Jalen Hurts is certainly not changing that right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I just don't see that big of a difference between Carson Wentz last year and Jalen Hurts tonight that makes me think that it was – and I'm not asking for Wentz back. I'm not opening that discussion. That's not what this is meant to say. I don't see the quarterback play that you need to have in the NFL to be a successful franchise.
The only difference there is Wentz was a guy in his 4th year in the NFL and his 4th year in the same system.
Yeah, fair.
And you get Hurts. Hurts is in his 2nd year, 2nd system, 7th start. So, I mean, I'm not defending how Hurts played tonight in any way, but I still feel more optimistic that he'll be able to pull this out than Wentz would, just because of the situation Hurts has been in. And not that I feel optimistic about either one, but I do think it's fair to at least point out it's his 7th start. It's his 2nd head coach, 2nd play caller. And so he's working, playing behind 3 backup offensive linemen. Do the Eagles even have a good receiver? I don't know. And so I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy, but, hopefully they can string something together. And to Wolf of Odin's point, he said to put in Gardner Minshew, we're not winning the division. I mean, this year's about figuring out what Hurts is. You ride or die with. If they go 1-16 with him, so be it. I mean, we know what Gardner Minshew is. He's a fine backup fringe starter, but you don't win a Super Bowl with a fringe starter. You win a Super Bowl with a franchise quarterback, or whatever, Nick Foles, whatever happened there. I don't know. But you got to figure out what Hurts is, if he's the guy, if he's not, and then you make the decision from there. So I'm not calling for a backup. No reason to do that. You keep putting him out here. You see if they can figure this out, but it doesn't look hopeful.
Shane, I'm with you on that. I agree 100%. I agree. I agree with you.
All right, quick piggyback off of that. Quick player grade on Jalen Hurts. Rob, how would you grade A to F Jalen Hurts?
I mean, he was an F tonight. I mean, I don't think you can give him anything higher. He was off on throws. He looked rattled in the pocket. He almost looked like he was taken off too soon to get outside the pocket. And look, things started to unravel pretty quickly for them. But it was a weird game because it felt like on every drive they had this big chunk play. And you're like, okay, let's see if something could get rolling here. And then it couldn't, whether it was a pick or a behind it. And don't get me wrong. The penalties are a disgrace. I mean, it's a disgrace everywhere. The offensive holding. Derek Barnett has to stop seeing the field. I know that they have these injuries now, but I am so sick and tired of every week watching this guy just make dumb bonehead play after dumb bonehead play. I'd rather you roll.
Did you see the clip? Did you see the clip of Sirianni after the penalty on him? Yeah,
it's always him. Yeah, I mean, like enough's enough with this guy. It ain't gonna work. Okay, it ain't gonna work. But listen. At the same time, Sirianni, I think, got caught, getting a little overwhelmed. Like, I don't know how you only have 2 runs in a game where it was 14-7 for a good amount of that first half. And you didn't run the football. You didn't run the football, and that's unacceptable. We killed Doug Peterson for that. Absolutely killed him. I don't care if this is your 3rd game coaching or not. You better run the football at a better clip than twice and a half.
And this guy was brought in to build around his weapons. We expected Jalen Hurts not to drop back 40 to 50 times a game. We expected a somewhat more balanced passing attack and getting our speedsters the ball in space, attacking that intermediate area of the field like we saw all training camp and preseason with Goddard and Ertz is just not happening. And I'm not defending, like you said, Shane, I'm not defending Jalen Hurts at all. He was god-awful tonight. But there is something to be said, maybe even bigger than Jalen Hurts right now. And Nick Sirianni has one good week one, FF in week 2s and 3s. Sorry, how would you grade Jalen Hurts, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rob's right on. I don't see how you can give him anything else. It was pretty bad game from opening whistle to closing whistle for Hurts. Staring down receivers, he throws the 2 interceptions. I mean, it throws 2 touchdowns. One is in garbage time to Greg Ward. He can make some plays with his legs. I need to see him make some plays with his arms, and I just haven't seen it.
What about you, Ty?
That's an F. The game looked too fast for him tonight. And that's 2 weeks in a row that the game has looked too fast for him. Now, whether that's a game plan issue or a Jalen Hurts issue, the rest of the season will tell. But definitely.
All right, let's roll on to who was your player of the game for the Eagles? Did anybody stand out? I mean, for me, it's got to be Javon Hargrave. Like I said during the halftime show, where would the Eagles be without Javon Hargrave currently on this roster? He's doing everything he can. There was one play. I think he got the sack there. I think it was an offensive penalty, but he just blew up the center, and it was just an amazing sack. So Javon Hargrave, man, he's just wasted. He's just getting wasted on this team. And you look at that loss of Brandon Graham. I didn't see any. I think Josh Sweat did get like a half a sack, but Barnett, Sweat, it ain't happening. Javon Hargrave, if he goes down and gets hurt, this could be an ultimate massive collapse coming here. What about you, Rob? Anybody stand out for you?
I mean, I guess Javon Hargrave made a couple plays, but I also watched the Dallas Cowboys, what seemed like get 8 yards of play through most of the first 3 quarters. So I don't know. And listen, we loved Jonathan Gannon the first 2 weeks, but, criticism's got to come. First of all, last week, I know they only gave up 17 points, but those passes over the middle, they just happened to be Deebo Samuel and not George Kittle last week. Jesus, they're running for 8 yards. They're passing for 15 yards. And it wasn't the receivers. It wasn't like it was Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb outside of that first big play. It was Schultz. It was, it was the tight ends. Zeke hasn't done a damn thing all year, and he was a world beater tonight. And, so Jonathan Gannon's got to answer for that too, because to me, there was nothing good that came out of tonight. Not one thing good came out.
They lost by 20, but you could easily just double that. And that's how it felt. It did not feel like a 20-point loss. If from the jump, I think we were saying before we went live, this game was over real quick. Shane, anybody noteworthy you want to just say, hey, I was a little surprised by this guy?
Yeah, and maybe the official that spotted that QB sneak, not a touchdown, when Dak's butt was in the end zone. I don't know. It'd be Hargrave for me, but he's already been mentioned, so I'll say Quez Watkins. He only has the 2 receptions, 46 yards, but he showed Jalen Reagor what you do when a ball is underthrown. He comes back and fights for that ball, and he catches it after being held and defensive. He draws 2 flags on that play, and he still comes down with the catch. So that was that's the play of the game for me. If you don't count the strip sack, that's the offensive play of the game for me. I thought Watkins looked really nice on that one, so I'll say him just to throw something else out there.
What about you, Ty?
Oh, Christ. They took my 2 guys, so we'll just go back to Tipos for the 3rd straight week. We literally might have the best punter in football right now. He just continues to Pink guy's back. I do want to hit this this comment I'm throwing up there. Cowboys looked like they could win 13 games. Am I wrong or right? You're wrong. They're not going to win 13 games. We're that bad. I'm sorry. Their defense is not good. And we couldn't move the football against them today. And I don't believe that their offense is going to run the ball like that against most teams. We're all playing the AFC West. I don't see them beating a team in the AFC West. I don't see us beating a team in the AFC West, even at a 1:00 travel time. I don't agree with that comment at all. They're not going to win 13 games. The Eagles, on the other hand, are not going to be in the hunt. Don't get me wrong, but the Cowboys will win this division at like 10-7.
I know it's been a long time since I've really been on here engaging with fans and that thing. Listen, Mr. Bryson Blake, okay? You are what every Dallas fan is, and that's a cockroach, and now you're crawling out of your hole, and you're running your mouth, and you're talking your trash. We understand that Dallas is a better team than the Eagles. We know that. Don't all of a sudden Trayvon Diggs is making a couple plays now. He's one of the best corners in the league. I mean, let's
inconsistent all the time.
Yeah. Let's remember that this defense gave up 31 points opening night. They're not like a world beater defense. His pick six tonight happened on an underthrow and a receiver falling. Okay, that's where that happened. So see, here he goes. Don't see the Cowboys beating an AFC team. They went head-to-head to the Bucs. All I know is in the game of football, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe things have changed because we didn't pay attention last year because the Eagles sucked. If you score less than the other team, you lose, right? Doesn't matter if it's a point or 75 points. If you score less than the other team, you lose. So all the shit talking you're doing right now is exactly the problem. You're not America's team. No one likes Dallas outside of front runners that like the Yankees and Lakers or people from Dallas. And that's it. So it's fine. Have your moment in the sun because we all know your coach is no better now than it was when the Clapper was here. This guy had Aaron Rodgers for how many years and won one Super Bowl. So go back, dust off your VHS, your VCR, dust off the VHS tape from the 90s. Go watch your Super Bowl video because that's the closest you're going to get to it.
Rob, let me piggyback on that. Bryson Blake, do you literally think you guys are Super Bowl contenders in this league right now? If you do, you are a moron.
You wouldn't know. I mean, if you're watching the ESPN broadcast, you would think they are.
Well, yeah, God.
God,
when they sucked it off the Cowboys.
ESPN has been dying for this. This is like right up the ESPN media nonsense. We could finally push the Dallas Cowboys again. The slurping on the mics tonight was an absolute it's why I had to go to the Mannings, because the Mannings at least just want to see good football from both teams. Like that's all they care about.
But we have this comment. Let's keep it going. Robert says, "Is it time to bench Jalen?" No, it's absolutely. This is the reality of the 2021 season, Eagles fans. You're going to live and die by Jalen Hurts, like Shane said. You're going to have to accept his growing pains. Nice. And you're going to have to hope that he, arises, overcomes.
Here's where it comes down with Hurts. You got to find out what he is. If you're saying he's for sure not the guy after 3 games, then you should have drafted a quarterback because 3 games shouldn't sway your opinion that much, especially when he played fine in the first one. And so I get that it's reactionary. I get it. You just got embarrassed on Monday Night Football, but benching Hurts would be one of the stupidest decisions the franchise could make. Like, you believed in this guy enough that you didn't take Justin Fields. He was on the board. You traded back. You could have had 3 first-rounders next year and Justin Fields. You didn't do it because you believed in Jalen Hurts. Nothing changes that big in 3 games. It's his 5th, 6th, and 7th start. You play him out for the season. Should they start Joe Flacco? Why? Joe Flacco is terrible. Do you remember the preseason? You remember watching him the last couple of years? Like, Flacco's awful. He would give you worse play than Jalen Hurts. So I don't know.
You got to take
Honestly,
a couple things. You got to also take a couple things into consideration tonight. This is the first game in Dallas in that monstrosity of a stadium with fans in 2 years. It's Dak's first game in front of the fans since his leg was nearly amputated last year. There was so much hype. It's a Monday night game. It's that. I mean, this game, a good Eagles team would have been at a major disadvantage going in there tonight. It really doesn't matter who Dallas was playing. You were at a disadvantage tonight. So that's the first thing. Then it gets started the way it does, right? They go right down the field. Then you throw a pick. Now you get lucky, but then they go right back down the field again. It was over before it started.
Yeah.
And I mean,
we have this comment by DeMarco saying, "Cry Eagles, cry." No one's crying here. Like the Cowboys kicked the Eagles' ass. There's no one here denying that.
Guy, I said on our first post-game show, I thought this team was going 7-10.
Mm.
Like, that has been my call from the beginning of this whole thing. It's why I gave them a B on the first week of the season. Like, we're learning what Jalen Hurts is. They're not super talented at the receiver position. The offensive line and the defensive line, when healthy, might be two of the better in the league.
oh,
But
here we go.
honest to God, like, they're not healthy, ever. So, I mean,
Hold on.
6-11, 7-10 is okay.
What did Devontae Smith do today that said that he's soft? Was it when he went up in a game that was already over and tried to make a catch and got decked and jumped right up? What did he do that was soft today? Please enlighten me on on a wide receiver who's 3 games into his rookie career.
By the way, why are we throwing hospital balls up to our 160-pound receiver in a game that we're losing by 20? What? I do find it interesting though, like all these Cowboys fans in the chats, like, you guys not follow any Cowboys podcasts? Why do you feel the obligation to jump on here?
Diggs was clamping you guys all night.
I get it, but
The Eagles won like 20 offensive plays in the game. What the hell do you mean all night? They were barely on the field.
Yeah.
Also,
America's team. If by America you mean Dallas and a bunch of cockroaches in West Philly and shit like that, then sure, I guess that's America's team because no one else likes you.
To Shane's point, late in the game, why isn't like JJ Arcega-Whiteside in the game? Is he hurt?
now I saw him earlier in the game
Exactly. Why
on that play action pass that got blown
His
up.
feelings may be hurt because his mom wasn't there with the umbrella tonight.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. You're down 20 points. Don't throw Devonta Smith out there. Put somebody out there that if he gets hurt, it doesn't matter.
The Dallas Cowboys are more like America's anus than America's team.
All right. Let's wrap it up. Final thoughts. I mean, I remember doing these post-game shows after week 1 against the Falcons. And I remember vividly saying that, man, I wish we could just like extend this week, like make it 10 days instead of 7 days. Like we knew that the narratives were going to change. The ebb and flows of the NFL season is real. Man, that week 1 post-game show feels like an eternity ago. It feels like forever ago. And that's just where we're at is we've got a tough schedule coming up. And I don't think it's going to get any better. Again, my final thoughts are it's not even Jalen Hurts. It's Jonathan Gannon and it is Nick Sirianni. I've seen major step backwards with those two. And that's not something I want to wake up tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning when I go to work and think about. Like the Eagles' issues last year was coaching, Jim Schwartz, Doug Peterson. Again, we have rookie head coaches, all this kind of stuff. I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of, Miles Sanders just getting wasted. We're not winning the right way. We did well in the trenches in weeks 1 and 2. Okay, week 2. This was bad. When you get that beaten, that bad by a Dallas offensive line and defensive line, that's like when you get beaten by the foundation, when you have like leading the league in penalties and you had 13 tonight, like that is not, I mean, I'm hurting. I'm really hurting. Rob, final thoughts.
Yeah, nothing good comes out of this. But even after the week 1 win, a lot of people, I know that I kind of threw it out there that there was still a chance this team goes 1-4, 1-5 to start the season. You saw the schedule at the beginning. Would I have liked to seen a better fight tonight? Yes, I would have liked to have seen a better fight tonight. If they win last week, are we this depressed today? I don't know. But regardless, this is who they are. You got to get through this hellacious stretch to start the season. And, I think that the Eagles are a team that can beat really bad teams, that can play with average teams, and that are going to get beat by good teams. Right now, Dallas is a good team. Not a Super Bowl team, a good team.
I don't think,
But
none of us
you go back to the drawing board. You go back to the drawing board. The Chiefs come in next week, and you try and make it a game. I mean, that's what it is. You try and improve. Like Sirianni's been saying all year, we want to be 1% better every day. That's what you got to do right now going into next week. 1%.
No one on this show expected the Eagles to be more than above average.
Right.
I think the part of like week 1 was that hope. There was like hope is that you actually might have something in Nick Sirianni. You might have something in Gannon, seeing him make adjustments, unlike Jim Schwartz. You might have something in Jalen. Like there was positives. You had a Monday Night Football in Dallas. You're hoping that maybe someone would step up. And that's kind of like the disappointing thing. I'm not like mad. I'm not like upset. I'm just kind of disappointed that there was an opportunity here for Nick Sirianni. There was an opportunity here for Gannon. There was an opportunity here for Jalen Hurts to take a next step. And they've been taking multiple steps backwards. Shane, final thoughts.
Yeah, I use that line on my kids all the time. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I'm usually mad when I say it, though.
Damn it, Shane, you took my
Oh, man, I'm sorry. Well, I'm going to address – Ty and I are on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
we need
man,
to just spin off and start a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in. Let's do it.
I want to address Robert's comment. Should the Eagles blame the game on the defensive coach, Jonathan Gannon? I think you're going to see a lot of stuff online this week criticizing Jonathan Gannon. I just want people to ask themselves, what would you do in his shoes? I mean, you come into the game, right? You got to worry about the Cowboys passing game. So you go these split field safeties that takes a guy out of the box, keeps you getting burned over the top. Well, you get burned over the top anyways because one of your safeties doesn't know what he's doing. You can't stop the run because your linebackers can't fill and play. So now we've got to go single high. Well, we're sitting in zone coverage and Dak's picking us apart. But if you go to man, your linebackers can't keep up with tight ends and running backs, which is who killed us all day. And so it was a bad performance by the defense. I saw him making adjustments. I just don't see him having the personnel. He doesn't have competent linebackers or safeties on this roster. And so it kind of limits what you can do. I'm not down on Gannon. I'm starting to get down on Sirianni. I'm not down on Gannon because I see him making schematic changes and they're not paying off. I don't think it's because they're bad. I don't think it's because he's making bad reads. I just think there's a huge gap in talent between the Eagles defense and most offenses they're going to face.
All right, what about you, Ty? Final thoughts.
Holy hell, Shane. I mean, you just thanks, man. That was phenomenal. I'm totally with you. I think Gannon is doing everything he can with what he has. I am worried about Sirianni and the play calling. Whether it's an offensive line that is a little bit beat up and not giving enough time for Hurts to make plays, but 2 runs I'm losing some confidence after 3 weeks in Sirianni, and I definitely said it after week 1. 2 of the 3 guys that are outside of in this podcast, I gave a B. Everybody else was giving A's, and I caught some heat. You guys were a little upset. You're like, oh, it's an A.
It was a B plus.
It was a B plus. You're right, but I was not convinced. And last week I thought that it was play calling, not talent. Tonight I don't know, man. They got beat from the block. It wasn't pretty, and hopefully they can turn it around next week against a team coming off a really tough loss as well. And it's going to be tough. But Shane, man, I appreciate you just throwing my points out there really perfectly. And, great
We're gonna
job.
make sure Ty goes first next time, so I don't steal what he wants to say.
Absolutely. I appreciate everything you threw out there, man. You hit the nail on the head.
All right, let's wrap it up. Follow my man Ty on Twitter at TyBook3, Pull the Pin Podcast at PTP2021. My man Shane down there at _TPL. He is Rob Lange at Philly_Madness. I'm Daz, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Guys, let's go to bed. Let's go to bed and just forget this.
I took the day off tomorrow. I took a vacation day, man. Let's do it.
All right. Guys, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for commenting. We'll be back for every single post-game show. Halftime show was really fun, Shane, and we should do more of that. I enjoyed that.
I'm in next week. You guys want me there for a halftime show where I was.
I normally
it was
like
pretty much
flip
the
over.
same tone. It was the exact same tone.
I normally flip over to other games during halftime, but I was like, there's no other games on. We should just do a halftime show. So,
Rob, good to see you, man. It's been a while.
I know. It's good to be back, man. I hate being back here, but at least the Cowboys are apparently in our heads because we've all literally said that they're better than the Eagles. Okay.
Well, hey, they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Bryson, I want you back here in about January when your team is not doing anything but the same thing as the Eagles, okay? Come back here, buddy. You come back. We'll be waiting. Wait till I'm drunk one game.
Thanks for everyone for watching. Please be sure to smash that like and subscribe button. We'll see you next time. Stay